Hey everybody, Terenzo here. I haven't made a video in a while, so here's another video. Today I'm actually doing something I've never done before, which is a tutorial type video. Now, I do like to play fighting games. I'm not really super competitive level in most fighting games, but if there's one thing I am pretty good at, it's figuring out how to defeat cheap or backwards CPU fighters. One of my favorite game series, of course, is Mortal Kombat. And I feel like Mortal Kombat 2 probably has the hardest AI to figure out of the original three, especially if you're new, if you're just coming in. I know a lot of folks that, they remembered Mortal Kombat from when they were a kid or whatever, and so they downloaded the arcade collection and then found out they couldn't get past like level 3. So we're gonna do a run through of Mortal Kombat 2. And I'm going to show you some tricks that you can use against each CPU fighter and basically start to finish. So there's lots of good characters. If you just want to beat the game, you probably want to pick somebody like Scorpion. He's pretty simple and he can do a technique I like to call punch spear. I guess I've never really thought about it. Alright, so level 1 you can pretty much do whatever you want, and the CPU will let you do it. I mean, Ed Boon has been recorded as saying on the first level the CPU should just let you beat it up, because that way you feel like you got your money's worth if you were playing this thing in the arcade. I will tell you that if you face Jax on later levels, and there he did it there, he is going to open the round 90% of the time with either his ground pound or an air wave. And both of those can be countered by simply jumping in and kicking him like this. And I said that's not 100%, the CPU is kind of wacky in this game, but for the most part it follows a clear pattern. Jax is not one of the tougher opponents CPU wise. You just got to watch out for the air throw that he has, the backbreaker. Level 2 things get a little bit harder, but they're still not that bad. You see Raiden's dodging my attacks, he's throwing out some stuff, but for the most part he's going to let me do just about anything I want to him. Jump kicks, I'm still able to get away with jump kicks, I'm still able to swipe him pretty easily and he doesn't jump away. One reason I picked Scorpion is he has a punch technique. So in Mortal Kombat 2, punches, they go in a cycle. After so many hits the person's knocked away. With Scorpion, you can actually, if you buffer the back low punch for the spear, you can catch the CPU with that at the end of the punch cycle, if that makes sense. So high punch, and then start buffering your spear, and as they go back, they'll get caught by that. Okay, Katana is one of the tougher opponents, and we're up to level 3, so the CPU is about to start pulling out all the stops. Katana has a containment move, which the CPU will almost always use on you if you jump in like this. We're on level 3, so I get a little bit of leeway, but pretty much anything past 3 you're always going to get hit with that if you jump in. Safest way to beat Katana is to play it safe, stay away from her, and go for the leg sweeps. You can also use the jump back technique, which I'll explain more in detail as we get to higher levels. Generally don't jump in against CPU Katana, because she'll do bad things to you. Alright, now we're on the 4th level. CPU is going to start getting bad. So pretty much the modus operandi of the CPU is to throw you. You'll notice that Kung Lao here pretty much always walks toward me. He throws a projectile in there every once in a while. The CPU loves to throw. It can throw in situations that you cannot. But if you just let it approach you as so, it's going to throw you. If you get too close to it and you're not in a situation where you can attack the CPU, it's going to throw you. It just loves to throw. In fact, if you hack yourself in as a boss character and then play against the CPU and let them walk up to you, the game will crash because it tries to execute a throw on a boss character, which you in no way, shape, or form can do once you fight Kentaro and Shao Kahn. Now Baraka is a lot like Katana when you fight him. Jumps ins against him will often end with you being blade swiped like this. So once again, you have to avoid him, and he's going to try to get close to you and throw you. Now we're only playing on normal. Believe it or not, it can get tougher if you put this on the hardest difficulty settings. I just keep it on normal for the sake of playing the CPU, because why not? So you'll notice I'm playing very deliberately. I feel like a lot of people would approach these old Mortal Kombats like you would, you know, a Street Fighter match or something, where you just try to fight the CPU and react to it. You can't really do that as you get higher up the ladder. There we go, I finally got it. So the CPU can pretty much throw you out of anything at this point. If you try to wait on the CPU to get close and uppercut you, they will actually duck your uppercut and replace it with one of their own. If they have a containment move, they're going to use it when you come in or jump in or something like that. And Reptile here is going to be invisible. When CPU Reptile goes invisible, you want to get him out of that as quick as possible. So the best thing to do is to just eat a hit off a blocked move, like the teleport punch here. You'll take the kick, but he won't be invisible. You can pretty much deal with him when he's visible. Now the CPU loves to keep distance. It likes to play from a certain range. So you can abuse that with the jump back glitch. And you have to get just right to do this. But if you notice, I jumped back and the CPU jumped back with me. So like this. This is probably the biggest and most useful exploit you can do versus CPU, is the jump back glitch. And I'm breaking my own rules and trying to jump in here, but see what I mean? At this point, pretty much anything you do, he's going to stuff you. The great thing about the jump back glitch is you usually have time to hit with just about anything you could want to. But the gist of that is, when the CPU is advancing towards you, you want to duck and then jump back. And what happens is the CPU tries to jump towards you to maintain the distance that it likes to be, but unfortunately for him it leaves him wide open. And you can hit with a containment move or just whatever you need to when he's in that jump motion going backwards. Johnny Cage, who we're fighting now, there's actually some specific tech you want to use against him. When you fight Johnny Cage at higher levels, lots of times the CPU likes to open with the shadow kick. So it's good to hold down when you start against Johnny Cage, because chances are he's going to throw that out at least 1 of 3 rounds. And if it doesn't work and he just advances towards you, you can do the jump glitch by jumping backwards, and he'll follow you and you can pop him with whatever you want to. Not doing well on my fatalities today, but that's not the point of this video. Yeah, this doesn't matter. It's going to be lost as soon as the thing's turned off. CPU Scorpion can be a bit of a pain because he likes to throw out the spear at random times. One thing you can do, which you just saw me, is if you get a blocked jump-in kick like that, he's almost always going to try to do the spear as a counter. So you can block the spear and then pop him with a straight-up high kick or a roundhouse or whatever you've got time for with whatever character you have. Also remember, the CPU always falls for a trip after a hard kick knockdown. I think you can actually do that against players too, so that's kind of just MK basics for you. So let's talk a little bit about the corner against the CPU, since this looks like it's going to go to round 3. Well, maybe, oh, it's already round 3, or round 2 rather. But basically in these games, you don't want to be in the corner against the CPU, because if you jump straight up, they're going to instantly pop up and kick you. So I'll see if I can get Molina to demonstrate this. Of course she rolled. Alright, so now I'm in the corner. If I stand still, I'm going to get punched or thrown. If I try to jump, she's going to insta-kick. So the best thing to do is to just stand straight up and walk towards them and let them throw you. You'll take damage, but it's really your only option for getting out of the corner. Now Molina in particular at later levels has an exploit you can use, which is you want to be a little outside of sweep distance to her and then do a straight jump kick. So the CPU without fail will try to knock you out of the air with this air sigh, but they won't have the range to do it, and you can pop them with it. This trick can be a little bit harder as somebody with stubby legs like Shang Tsung, but most ninjas should have no problem at all just destroying Molina. A perfect victory would not be that hard. And of course the jump glitch works as always. Subzero can also be a bit of a pain because, like Scorpion, he likes to throw out the ice, and he's also got the slide. In the earlier MK games, CPU opponents with transit moves are a pain in the behind. And I executed poorly, but really the only way to get out of that situation would have been to be thrown. Subzero, you fight just like Scorpion, like I said, just you're watching out for ice instead of a spear. And you've also got to watch out for the slide. Depending on where you block the slide, usually you can hit him with a high punch, like so. But if you're actually down, it's a little bit riskier to counter him. You just have to remember the CPU doesn't really play by the same rules you do as far as game physics. So it's very easy for them to get a favorable matchup in a situation that in a PvP match would be, you know, toward the person who managed to block. Much like Scorpion's Spear, if you block a ice at close range after a blocked high kick, you can counter. Liu Kang is, when I say transit move problems, this is Liu Kang. He's got two moves that throw him across the screen. And he also has kind of a, you see how he's standing back, so that makes it a little bit harder to catch him in punches as he walks in. There's another glitch I like to call punch cycle, which I'm not quite sure if I'm brave enough to attempt. It's a lot harder to do, and that is essentially, as a CPU opponent is walking towards you, if you start high punching such that they walk into it at just the right range, you can get them caught in an infinite loop where they'll just sit there and take high punches until their health runs out. It's probably one of the safest ways to end a round if you can do it consistently. Ooh, a rare block. You got to be careful with the jumping back glitch here, because Liu Kang is liable to do that and mess up your timing. You basically just have to be ready to go the other way if he decides that he's gonna throw a bicycle kick or a air kick in your way. So we're getting pretty lucky right now. Trips are another thing you can use against the CPU. So if the CPU is advancing and you just want to get rid of them, a swipe just outside of range will usually cause them to back up. Just enough to give you kind of some breathing room if you need some space to set up the jumping glitch. If you're too close and you try to jump back, you'll get thrown. And if you're too far, the CPU is going to chuck a projectile to knock you out of the air. Okay, as far as normal opponents go, Shang Tsung has the best AI. As he's technically a boss character, you always fight him right before Kentaro. He also uses the strongest AI versions of any character he transforms into. So, for example, if he turns into Katana, he's almost always going to get you with the fan lift containment if you try to jump into him. Fortunately, he also falls for the same exploits as other characters do when he's transformed into them. So for example, right now he's Molina, and he falls for this crap right here. Which it's awesome if he turns into somebody like Molina, because you can just destroy his health bar and then nail him when he turns back.
Scorpion wings. Fatality.
Alright, Kentaro. So Kentaro is our first boss character. His physics are completely different than any other character. And in typical MK fashion, there's cheap ways to beat him. Obviously, anytime you see him throw his arms back and roar, hit him with something. You see me jump in a lot in this because you can actually get in a cycle. So if I jump in and press kick as my character starts to arc down, almost every time he's going to attempt to uppercut you, and you can pop him with that, at least on normal difficulty.
Round 2, fight.
The trick is to, if you listen to kind of the rhythm of the hit and your attack. Well, I'm being destroyed while I'm trying to talk here. Yeah. When you get into the corner, though, you're going to have to back up and jump back in to hit him. If you try to just jump in from where you land, it's not going to work. You'll probably get uppercutted or thrown. And Kentaro can throw you in the corner just like anybody else. Only his throw has you end up at the same place. So Shao Kahn is kind of difficult no matter who you are, unless you're like Molina or somebody that can lock him down. One of the most consistent ways for any character to beat him is using the jump in glitch. So basically what you want to do is jump in and hold down to duck whatever attack Shao Kahn will use, and then you could uppercut. The trick is when you press down, because the CPU is essentially reading your inputs even as you go through the air. You want to press the down so that it lines up with when Shao Kahn decides he would want to do a punch or a kick. If you do that, you can duck the uppercut and then set it up again. The beginning of the match is really the hard part because you never know what he's going to open with. So you kind of just have to make a random decision. One thing you can always do and be pretty safe is jump back or a low sweep. You're not guaranteed to be safe if the low sweep hits him out of his charge animation. It just kind of stops the initial hit. Alright, I could probably win this. We're going to lose on purpose so I can show you another Shao Kahn strat.
Too easy. Feel the power of Shao Kahn. I rule this world.
Corner is very dangerous against Shao Kahn, as you can see, because he'll just go into hyperdrive with his shoulder charge and you won't be able to get out. So Katana can actually make very quick work of Shao Kahn and Kentaro.
I rule this world.
And the reason being, as you might have guessed or already heard, is her fan containment.
You are nothing.
The trick is to do it when he doesn't basically just sit there and look at you and throw a spear. If he charges into it, he actually gets hit with it. But you don't want him to use a projectile because that will hit you. And like I said, it doesn't work every time. You gotta practice it. He just cannot resist. Also, if he blocks the fan lift, you're probably going to end up eating a hit.
You will die, mortal.
Alright, let's swap over. There's two characters that have probably the easiest time with Shao Kahn, and that is Baraka and Molina. First, let's go to Baraka. So Baraka, you would fight Shao Kahn a lot like you do as Katana. Except you're just going to spam this move over and over. And it's the same situation, unless he decides to do the arrow. Anything he does pretty much results in him getting hit by it.
Feel the wrath of Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn's moves also knock you back when you block, which makes him even more of a pain to fight. Because despite getting knocked back, he still has the tools to close in on you and just continue to do damage.
Shao Kahn.
The closer he is to you when you manage to do the blade swipe, the better chance you have of not getting arrowed. Also in the corner, he can't stand it. He just almost always has to shoulder charge.
No.
And I've killed Shao Kahn, but one thing you can do is if you pick Molina and press forward low kick for her telekick, you can just telekick over and over again and you can pretty much stun lock him. He can't escape when he gets to the corners, but at that point you just want to jump back and start the cycle over again. I mean, just do not stop telekicking and you'll be able to put him away pretty easy. That's an awful picture of Baraka, by the way. So when you play Baraka, by the way, yep, see, Jax. He can't stand it. He's got to start the match with either a ground pound or the energy wave. Now I'm trying to hurry and get back to the harder level CPU here. Because these easy ones, it doesn't really matter. But when you're fighting higher level CPU opponents as Baraka, you don't even really have to do the jump glitch because 99% of them will walk right into the blade swiping attack. Like even at higher levels, you can still bait the CPU into this. And that attack is great in that it will stop just about any transit move or any kind of like Subzero's slide or Liu Kang's bicycle. Anything that gets within that range is going to get hit. Of course, the risk is doing it too early. You don't want to get hit by the a sweep or whatever. But that's pretty much the gist of it. You know, playing against the CPU in Mortal Kombat 2, just remember, you never want to be close to them. You want to try to hit them before they get in close. Always have a plan, whether it's the back jump glitch, which confusingly doesn't start working very well until later levels, but you know, never just try to get up in their face and fight them. Don't try blind jump ins unless you know it's going to hit. And a lot of that you just have to kind of learn. There's lots of little quirks and things fighting the CPU that just come from practice by learning how the CPU reacts to things. Because Mortal Kombat 2 has a very rigid, very stubborn AI routine that reacts almost exactly the same to the same moves in later levels. So after a few playthroughs, you'll start to get an idea of what you can and can't do and how the CPU is going to react at any given time. So this has been a how-to beat the CPU in Mortal Kombat 2 tutorial. This is Terensu signing off. We'll see you next time.